Good morning. My name is Ben Garber. I'm a New Hampshire licensed psychologist, formerly a guardian ad litem. I provide parenting coordination and expert testimony in matters concerning the well-being of children. Across roles, my commitment is to serve children's needs, to help parents, courts, institutions, and agencies better understand and provide for the needs of children. I've come to this place through a long and tangled road, like most of us. I originally wanted to be an architect. That's kind of funny. I discovered that I couldn't do math and that math was necessary for architecture. My interest in languages carried me forward. I became interested initially in how language and thought fit together, in how pre-verbal and non-verbal individuals can think, and then eventually tying in emotion and behavior, entering a PhD program in clinical and developmental psychology, and then finally facing the dilemma working in a clinic as a young professional, and the fact that 8 out of 10 individuals, children referred to my practice, seemed to be diagnosed with attention deficit disorder. That just didn't make sense. I discovered that when you look beyond the child and into the family system, it's easy to discover that some of those children come to the office and go to school each day from homes that are full of chaos and conflict. If you can imagine waking up in a home where you're not clear whether breakfast is going to be on the table or which parent is going to be there, whether mom's going to be yelling at dad, who's going to pick you up after school, or for that matter, which home you should go home to. It's easy to be distracted in school, to fail on a test and then self-esteem plummets, peer relationships become complicated, and then it's easy to get called ADD or ADHD when in fact the real problem is a family systems problem. That observation propelled me forward to this point here today. Unhooked Books, and Megan Hunter, the developer of Unhooked Books, publisher of a number of my works, has been kind enough to invite me to address you here today. I'd like to introduce you to a number of the volumes that I can make available to you through Unhooked Books, through area professional conferences, and through bookstores. 2 of my volumes are not present for me to hold up for you here today, but I'm very proud of them. Please check out Keeping Kids Out of the Middle. This is one of the first books available for parents, caregivers who are concerned with how to keep children's needs first and foremost in the midst of family conflict, chaos, and change. Divorcing and divorced parents use Keeping Kids Out of the Middle to try to find solid middle ground, to put aside their own needs and the conflicts that have erupted into separation and divorce, to assure that children's needs are soundly and solidly and consistently addressed. The other volume that I don't have here to hold up for you this morning is the companion book called Developmental Psychology for Family Law Professionals. Developmental Psychology is the professional book meant to accompany Keeping Kids Out of the Middle. Developmental Psychology speaks to judges, lawyers, arbiters, mediators, any professional who's involved in trying to address the needs of children whose parents are in high conflict, separated, divorcing, and divorced. Developmental Psychology for Family Law Professionals speaks to case law, theory in psychology, jurisdictional, the specifics of how we address, how we contemplate, how we put together a post-divorce plan intended to suit the needs of children. I'm very proud to share with you the most recent book. Holding Tight and Letting Go is an Unhooked Books publication due to come out in 2016. This is a brand new edition. I hadn't seen it prior to reaching this point here today. Holding Tight and Letting Go talks to parents and anyone concerned with the well-being of children about how we let children go in these times of terror and technology. It used to be that we ran alongside the day after we took off the training wheels, the day that the child is so excited to learn to ride on 2 wheels all by him or herself, and we let go quite easily. We let the child ride away with great pleasure, even though we knew that he or she would fall down and skin his or her knees. Today, we let go in so many ways, but with such greater anxiety because the world is such a scary place. Identity grows in that separation, in those moments apart when we let go. What happens to children when letting go becomes so complicated? What happens to their identity, to their sense of self, to their ability to engage in healthy relationships, to succeed in school, and to succeed in the world when letting go becomes so difficult? Holding tight and letting go, raising kids in anxious times, addresses those questions and helps us all understand how to raise healthy children in these times of terror and technology. The Healthy Parents ABCs is a very small volume. It's a very inexpensive volume. It goes through the 26 letters of the English alphabet to bring to people who may not have the time or the background or the inclination to read lengthy books full of big words and case law and theory. The Healthy Parents ABCs is 26 simple lessons in simple words about how to raise healthy children. E stands for emotions, for example. I know that every day everyone feels happy, sad, mad, and scared. I know that it's important for our children to be free to express all of these feelings, and that it's my responsibility to help my kids know how to do that in healthy and acceptable ways. The Healthy Parents ABCs is often used in institutional and agency settings. There's 52 weeks in the year, 26 letters in the alphabet. Daycares, preschools, Boy Scout troops around the country and throughout Canada use the Healthy Parents ABCs, one letter a week, twice through the alphabet in the course of the year, to introduce to children and parents healthy ways of growing up. I have two books that might be considered workbooks for you to consider. The Roadmap to the Parenting Plan Worksheet is 16 modules intended for mediators, arbiters, lawyers, litigants, people who are separating, divorcing, and in need of developing a parenting plan, to use this book in its entirety or separate modules, one topic at a time, to try to minimize the necessary time invested in developing a parenting plan. The modules address such critical issues as defining the right of first refusal. What does that mean? How can it work? How can we make this work for our children? How to establish a schedule of care. What is residential responsibility? How do we plan for future dispute resolution? Each module presents theory, empirical research, and prompts the reader to try to understand his or her own position about the matters at hand. Each module also includes a bibliography of further resources so that the invested and conscientious consumer can look further so as to go into a mediation session, a court hearing, or a trial well prepared to address each of the different parts necessary to compose a parenting plan. The Roadmap to the Parenting Plan Worksheet comes complete with a CD-ROM on which is contained the Parenting Plan Worksheet in its entirety. By using the CD-ROM, by printing out the worksheet or completing it online, the user is able to approach the very difficult, sometimes time-consuming, and often very expensive process of creating a parenting plan in the most efficient, child-centered way possible. And then finally, for our purpose here this morning, I'd like to share with you 10 child-centered forensic family evaluation tools. This is a collection of questionnaires and written feedback instruments that the professional, mental health professional, the lawyer, sometimes the mediator can use to gather information from parents engaging in high conflict divorce matters so as to get solid background history and to solicit opinions from them about where they stand in advance of participating in a mediation and or a divorce process. These forms have been developed in my office over the course of more than 20 years for the purpose largely of allowing me to standardize and accumulate in an organized and efficient way all of the necessary and important information relevant to the conduct of child-centered family evaluations. This book contains, for example, questionnaires that will allow litigants to provide professionals with history and background, the respondents' personal and professional references, thorough child developmental history, as well as questionnaires that can be sent to references, including consent and assent forms, questionnaires that elicit from the respondent the respondent's view of the child's needs in a variety of different contexts. 10 child-centered forensic family evaluation tools is a really important way of augmenting and standardizing the professional's means of collecting data from litigants engaged in child-centered matters that come before the court. I appreciate your time and interest here this morning. I look forward to being in touch with you. I encourage you strongly to visit Megan Hunter at Unhooked Books and to visit my website, healthyparent.com, to learn more about how to understand and meet the needs of children, particularly those who are involved in high conflict, divorcing, and divorce matters. Thank you very much.